Hi there. I was going to talk about Italian cooking, but Italian cooking is a big subject, way too broad, so I decided to narrow it down. If you're still interested, I'll talk about other kinds of Italian cooking later, but today I'm going to concentrate on everybody's favorite Italian food, pizza. So, pizza started way back in the Bronze Age, during the times of the Assyrian and Babylonian empires. It was basically an edible plate. You piled all the stuff you were going to eat on top of it, and then you ate the stuff and the plate at the same time. Gradually, this edible plate made its way to Greece with the Greek Empire, where it was known as the pita. And then around 1500, it made its way to Italy, and it was known as pizza. Tomato sauce wasn't a topping until the late 1600s. The tomato is a Native American plant. The Aztecs grew it and called it tomato. When it made its way to Europe, it was known as a decorative plant, and it was poisonous. Don't eat the berries, they're poisonous. Tomato is a member of the nightshade family, just like potato and eggplant. And early variations of it were poisonous, but gradually some variations of it were created that were not poisonous, and today it is the deliciousness that it is, and it finds its way into a lot of Italian cooking. Not all Italian cooking, though, and we'll be talking about that in a later episode. Naples is considered to be the birthplace of pizza. I don't know if it is, but it has appropriated the title, and it's welcome to it. Naples is where the original commercial pizzeria was. A pizzeria is a place where you go to buy pizza. The pizzaiolo is the person who makes the pizza. If there are two of them there, they are pizzaioli. One pizzaiolo, two pizzaioli. Naples is most famous for the margherita pizza. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. How did pizza make it to the US? Well, it came in two waves. The first wave was in the late 19th, early 20th century with the Italian immigrants who came and settled in the New York area and in the Chicago area. Hence, we have New York pizzas and Chicago-style pizza. I can hear people yelling, hey, what about Detroit? Yes, Italians settled in Detroit too, and Detroit has its own style of pizza. The second wave was after World War II, when all these American GIs who had fought in the Italian peninsula and had enjoyed the local pizza came home with the desire for more pizza. That's when American pizzerias made it big, and that's when most of the original American pizza chains started. So, which version is authentic? So, which American pizza is the most authentic? A related question is, which is better, Italian pizza or American pizza? Well, if I say American, then you're going to say, well, Chicago or New York or Detroit. Oh, you'll be glad to know that the answer is, it doesn't matter! It's all good. The only pizza that isn't good, frozen and Domino's. Other than that, you're good. Well, that may be so, but you may still wonder what makes an authentic Italian pizza. Or what are the differences between American and Italian pizza? Well, in the late 20th century, a group of pizzerias in Naples formed a union called something like the Really Truly Neapolitan Pizza Association, and they traveled around the world making sure that anybody who advertises themselves as Neapolitan pizza is actually doing it the right way. We're not going to get that picky, okay? First of all, let's stipulate a few differences, a few generalizations about American pizza. In America, you order pizza by the size and by the toppings. It's all a la carte. In America, we also have pizza by the slice, which is a marvelous invention that hasn't really taken hold in Italy yet, but I imagine it'll make its way back across the ocean. We don't have a lot of specialized recipes here. For example, Hawaiian pizza is ham and pineapple or Canadian bacon and pineapple. But mostly we order a la carte. I want this topping and this topping and this topping and this topping. We also have many variations in crust style. We start with thin and crispy. There's also thin and mushy, which is good because then you can fold it over and eat it like a pizza taco. There's what Pizza Hut calls their hand-tossed crust. That's the most authentic Italian. And then there is the Chicago-style deep dish crust. That actually, it does come from Italy. In Sicily is where they make deep dish pizza. But in America, we have all these different variations. Over in Italy, there is one size of pizza. It is the size of a dinner plate. One pizza, one person. There's only one crust style, as I said. It's closest to Pizza Hut's hand-tossed, except for Sicily deep dish. You don't order toppings a la carte like we do in the US. There are a small number of standard recipes. There's less than 2 dozen. And then there are many regional variations, and we'll talk about some of those in a couple of minutes. They only use fresh mozzarella. Here in the States, you go to the store and you buy either grated mozzarella cheese or a brick of mozzarella, which you take home and grate. In Italy, the mozzarella cheese comes in balls, small balls about the size of a tennis ball. When you buy them, they are floating in water or brine, and they scoop them out with a slotted spoon and put them in a bag for you to take home. You slice them up and you lay these slices of fresh mozzarella on the pizza. We don't do that here. Real mozzarella cheese is either made from cow's milk or the milk of water buffalo. One Italian chef says don't use buffalo mozzarella, it makes the pizza too watery. Yeah, it's fine. Go for it. It's usually drizzled with olive oil and sprinkled with freshly chopped oregano. You can also put on a little bit of basil if your pizza contains strong meats like beef sausage or pork sausage of some sort. And then put some grated Parmesan or Romano on the top, either before or after cooking. Never a bad idea. Now I'm going to give you some of those 2 dozen recipes. Most of these are named after the region where they originated. They all start with the tomato sauce base, and then of course there's the mozzarella cheese and olive oil and oregano on top. The first one is the pizza alla napolitana. This is pizza from Naples. Toppings are anchovies, capers, and fresh sliced tomatoes. Now, first of all, you're going to go, anchovies, ew! That's what I thought until the first time I had some on my pizza. They're so great. Anchovies and capers. Capers are these little tiny things that you find on the top shelf in one of the grocery aisles. They're actually the fruits of a plant, and they're pickled in brine. You don't put too many on your pizza. You put fewer capers on than you put black olives. They add just the right touch, a little bit of zing to every bite. The next one is pizza alla marinara. This means pizza from the seaside. Toppings for marinara are fresh chopped garlic, or fresh sliced garlic, anchovies, and oregano. You can skip the anchovies if you want. You can also substitute other forms of fish or seafood for anchovies. Shrimp is especially good. And believe it or not, canned tuna packed in oil and drained carefully before crumbling on the pizza is really, really good. Next is the pizza margherita. This is named after Queen Margherita, who visited Naples in 1889. It was invented by a pizzaiolo to honor Margherita. Well, actually, he invented it a long time ago, and they just named it in her honor then. It contains the 3 colors of the Italian flag. It has tomato sauce for the red, mozzarella for the white, and fresh basil leaves for the green. You can find fresh basil leaves in the produce section of the grocery store. There's usually that one shelf that has like gourmet spices and stuff like that. Buy a package of fresh basil leaves there, or you can grow your own and pick them right off the plant. Basil leaves, as soon as they're broken, they start turning black on the edge. So don't do anything with the basil until just before you stick the pizza in the oven. My favorite is called the 4 Seasons pizza, pizza a 4 stagioni. You take your pizza round and you take 2 long narrow strips of dough and you put them on the pizza to divide it into 4 quadrants. Each quadrant gets a different topping. The toppings are ham, black olives, mushrooms, and artichoke hearts. If you don't like mushrooms, you can substitute arugula or spinach. Fresh chopped spinach is best, but you can also use frozen spinach. If you use frozen spinach, make sure you defrost it, squeeze it dry between paper towels, and chop it up first. Pizza capricciosa. Capricciosa means capricious or whimsical. Basically, if you take the 4 toppings for a 4 stagioni and you sprinkle them all over, you have a capricciosa. The next one is pizza alla romana, pizza from Rome. And again, this is anchovies, capers, and tomatoes. But in Rome, you can try using sun-dried tomatoes instead. Get a jar of sun-dried tomatoes and just nibble on one. It's got a zing to it and a very strong tomato flavor. I mean, stronger than regular tomatoes. It's delicious. The pizza alla fiorentina is from Florence, and this one's got an interesting twist to it. The toppings are fresh mozzarella and spinach. Again, you can either use fresh or frozen. And then just before you stick it in the oven, you crack an egg right in the middle of the pizza. And the egg cooks like, it looks like a fried egg as it cooks, and it is delicious. Down in the heel of the Italian boot is Calabria. Calabrese people like their spicy foods. So pizza alla calabrese is made with spicy salami and fresh mozzarella and chopped fresh basil leaves. You can't have pizza without cheese blend, right? Pizza a quattro formaggi is 4-cheese pizza, and the 4 cheeses are mozzarella, Swiss, fontina, and gorgonzola. Gorgonzola is an Italian blue cheese. It's a lot like the French blue cheese. You can substitute any other cheeses you want. Experimentation is good. Stay away from bland cheeses because mozzarella is already bland enough, and stay away from sweet cheeses, although fontina is in there and it's a little bit sweet. In northern Italy, it's not uncommon to find half a hard-boiled egg on your pizza or tucked inside your calzone. Calzones. That's what we're going to talk about next. 2 variations on the flat pizza are the calzone and the stromboli. Calzone is an Italian word meaning big sock. Think of a calzone as a pizza that's been folded over and pinched shut. Stromboli is the name of a volcanic island just off the north coast of Sicily. A stromboli is like a calzone, but instead of folding it over, you put the toppings in the very center and then you pull up all the sides and you pinch it shut at the top center. That's fun because as it cooks, the cheese and the tomato sauce come oozing out the top and down the sides, just like a volcano. The stromboli is not from Italy. The stromboli is from Philadelphia. It's still delicious. All right, so how do you cook a pizza like Italians do? First of all, you got to cook it hot. In Italy, they come in early in the morning and they shove the pizza oven, the brick oven, full of hardwood. Apple, cherry, chestnut, maple, oak, not softwood like pine. They light it and they let it burn all day long. Hardwood burns very, very hot, and all that heat gets transferred into the brick lining of the brick oven. It gets up to 700 or 800 degrees, maybe hotter. When the fire is out, they pull out all the ash, they sweep the floor of the oven clean, and that brick retains the heat and cooks pizzas for hours and hours and hours into the night. They leave a few pieces of hardwood along one side of the brick oven. Flames arch over the top of the oven. So they'll start cooking the pizza over here on the dark side, and then just before it's done, they put over on the light side. It's like a broiler. It does yummy things to the crust, not the crust, the cheese on the top. Yes. Let's see, what else can I tell you about Italian cooking? So we used to cook our pizza at 450. We've turned it up to 475 now. At 450 degrees Fahrenheit, it takes about 12 minutes to cook a pizza. At 475, start watching around 10 minutes and get ready to pull it out before it overcooks. If you want to get the effect of a brick oven, you can use a pizza stone. Put the pizza stone in your oven and preheat it for a half hour before you cook the pizza. Lay the pizza directly on the pizza stone. One of the things about cooking in a brick oven is the bottom of the crust gets these little charred spots, and they're delicious, especially when some of the olive oil from the top oozes down under there and mixes with the charred spots. So that's most authentic. If you don't have a stone or you don't want to use a stone, I recommend a perforated pan. Let me see if you can see the perforations in there. Yes. All right. These holes allow the heat to get up and into the bottom of the pizza and toast the crust better than a solid pizza pan does. You can spray it with vegetable oil or sprinkle it with flour or cornmeal before you lay the pizza down. That'll keep the pizza from sticking. After you've sprayed it with vegetable oil for enough years, it starts looking like this. The dark pizza pans are better because they hold the heat better and they transmit the heat better as well. Italians eat pizza with a knife and fork. Americans eat it in their hands. As more and more American tourists go over to Italy, eating pizza with your hands has become more acceptable over in Italy. I still say American tourists are slobs. And when you eat it with a knife and fork, that's what gives the olive oil a chance to get underneath and catch those charred spots and just make a little nugget of deliciousness in your pizza. All right, pizza recipe. You can go to www.radiopew.com/recipes. Scroll down the list until you hit the Italian section. Look in the Italian section and you'll find the link to click on to take you to the pizza dough recipe. The pizza dough page also contains a recipe for some very quick and easy red sauce We've been tweaking the pizza dough recipe, and we actually make it with a little less flour than what's on there. You want the dough to be just a touch sticky. It makes for a better pizza. You start by pinching off a piece of dough that's about as big as a man's fist. You roll it into a ball on the counter, and then you squash it flat. Then you use your fingertips to push out the edges and start spreading it out. Real Italians then take this flat that's about this size and throw it in the air and spin it, and it stretches in the air. We used to do that, but we're lazy. Now we just roll it out with a rolling pin. You can do either way. If you do toss it in the air, make sure you have a few spare balls of dough, because you will end up dropping some on the floor, and that's a sad occasion if you don't have backup. When you lay the pizza dough in the pan, make sure to roll up the edges. Bojo's up in Fort Collins, they put these 1-inch rolls on their edges, and then when they cook it, the edges get really big. You don't have to do that. You just want to roll up the edge enough to keep the red sauce and the toppings from sliding off while it's cooking. Before you put the pizza in the oven, you can drizzle it with olive oil and sprinkle it with fresh oregano, or oregano out of the spice cabinet. You can also sprinkle it with grated Parmesan or Romano cheese, either before you put it in the oven or just when it comes out of the oven. Either one is pure deliciousness. Calzone. I'm going to tell you how to make a calzone. First of all, you roll out the pizza flat, like I said, and it doesn't need to be any bigger than a dinner plate. It can be smaller than a dinner plate. It's very okay. As a calzone cooks, it expands, and what starts out about the size of an apple turnover will cover your whole plate. So you lay the pizza round out flat, and you use a scoop or a ladle to put red sauce on 1/2 of the round. Then you put your meats down. On top of the meats go the vegetables. On top of the vegetables goes the cheese, and then, if you want, the garnishes. Fold the top over and pinch the edges shut. Oh, back up a little bit. When you put the red sauce down, make sure to leave like a 1/2 inch of bare dough right at the edge, because that's going to adhere to the top layer when you fold it over and pinch it shut. You can pinch and give it just a little bit of a roll, so it's like double sealed. This will keep everything from oozing out while it cooks. Don't worry if the seam springs a leak while it's cooking. Serve with a ramekin full of red sauce on the side. You can use the ramekin as a dipping sauce, or you can pour it on the top as like maple syrup. That's the way I do it. To eat the calzone, you can do it American style. Slice it in half and eat each half in your hand. Or you can slice it into strips and dip the strips like pizza fingers. Or you can slice it into strips and then into bite-sized pieces. Fork, dip, deliciousness. If you want to make a panzerotto instead, you can. I don't know what panzerotto means. It means deliciousness. A panzerotto looks like a miniature calzone. You use 1/2 ball of dough. You roll it out so it's only about 4 to 6 inches. You make the panzerotto just like you do with the calzone. You use less sauce, of course, and fewer toppings. You fold it over and pinch it shut, and make sure that it is completely pinched shut. Then you dunk it in a deep fryer of oil at 450 degrees. Don't leave it in for very long. As soon as it starts turning golden, pull it out. It will keep cooking even after you remove it, and it'll go from golden to brown while you're watching. Let it cool down a bit so you don't die when you bite into it, and then wrap half of it in like butcher paper or a paper towel or newspaper, and then just eat it from the other end. You can also dip it in dipping sauce, the red sauce, if you want. That's all I've got about pizza, but that's as much as you need to know to get started. Next time we'll talk about some other kinds of Italian cooking. We'll probably start with pasta, but pasta isn't the only kind of Italian deliciousness. Until then, buon appetito!